Welcome back. The UAE's financial markets are closed today. Trading will resume on Sunday. So let's now take a look at the various currencies, followed by the price of oil and commodities. The Italian austerity budget, worth nearly €48 billion, was approved by the upper house of Parliament on Friday, overcoming its first parliamentary hurdle. The package is aimed at averting a full-scale financial crisis and balance the country's budget by 2014. Although the cuts worth €48 billion are far from popular, most politicians and many voters accept it's necessary. Italy's economy minister Giulio Tremonti stated that the Eurozone is objectively the richest and least in debt area in the world, but it's the gap between the indebted and not so indebted which is the problem in the Eurozone. EU Trade Chief Karel de Gucht called for China to alter its policy on rare earths after a meeting on Thursday with his Chinese counterpart, Commerce Minister Chen Deming. China stirred its trading partners by slashing rare earth export quotas by 35% for the first half of this year, which has choked off global supplies. The World Trade Organization ruled last week that China should increase exports of 17 rare earths. Shortly after the meeting, China issued a second batch of quotas for exports of rare earths this year. The latest issue brings China's total export quotas for the year to 30,184 tonnes, down slightly from 30,258 tonnes in 2010.
They realize that they have to change their policy. Of course, this is not an easy fight for them either. It has environmental ramifications, but if that affects the production, then that should go not only for the export, but it should also go for the internal consumption.
Meanwhile, China hailed the new IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde's decision to appoint Chinese economist Min Zhu to a top management post within the IMF. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Hong Lei said that the position signifies a great improvement in the role of emerging and developing countries within the IMF. US President Barack Obama used a White House news conference Friday to keep the pressure on Republican congressional leaders to produce a framework for a deficit reduction plan that will head off a government default on August 2nd. Standard & Poor's warned late on Thursday that there is a 1 in 2 chance it could cut the United States' AAA rating if an agreement is not reached soon. 5 rounds of White House talks this week produced no agreement, and House Speaker John Boehner made it clear Friday that the Republican position has not changed.
Our stand on the debt limit has been clear. There can be no tax hikes because tax hikes destroy jobs. We need real spending cuts, and real spending cuts that will exceed the amount of increase in the debt limit.
We are obviously running out of time. And so what I've said to the members of Congress is that you need over the next 24 to 36 hours to give me some sense of what your plan is to get the debt ceiling raised through whatever mechanisms they can think about, and show me a plan in terms of what you're doing for deficit and debt reduction.
Meanwhile, bank giants JP Morgan and Citigroup sent a clear signal from the banking industry this week with stronger than expected earning results. The bank giants have been able to shake off some of the bad loans from earlier years and reported strength in investment banking.
For a few quarters now, the banking sector has been out of trouble. The banks have built capital. Loan losses are continuing to dwindle. A lot of the worst loans from 2005, 2006 are off the books, replaced by much better loans. But growth is still a problem, and the economy is still not in great shape. So until those two things improve, we're not probably going to see a lot of big surprises on the upside for banks.
And finally, Google's blowout quarter led the Nasdaq higher on Friday, but mounting uncertainty about the government's ability to reach a debt reduction deal may keep investors at bay in the coming week. For the week, the S&P 500 ended down 2.1%, while the Dow lost 1.4% and the Nasdaq fell 2.5%. Google's Inc. earnings beat bullish forecasts late on Thursday, driving its stock up 13% to $597.62 US, making it the top gainer in the Nasdaq 100. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.34% to end at 12,479, while the S&P 500 index gained 0.56% to finish at 1,316. The Nasdaq Composite Index advanced 0.98% to close at 2,789. Up next, we have the day's sports news, so stay with us.